Hey everyone, Matthew Robinson back again with a movie review of The Hangover Part II. I just saw this movie today. I know I'm a little late. People have seen it. Probably most everyone who wants to see it has already seen it, but it's okay. You guys should know my thoughts on this movie, right? Okay, that's why you subscribe to my channel. Or hopefully will subscribe to my channel. Anyway, saw The Hangover Part II. I saw the first one in theaters. I believe it was the opening day. So I loved the first one. And I came into the second one hearing a lot of critics and a lot of people bash it for basically being the same movie. And it is pretty much the same movie. It is The Hangover, just in a foreign land, and it's a little bit darker, and just more messed up stuff happens to them. I would say that the stakes have been raised in this one, but it's pretty much the same movie. It literally follows the exact formula. Like, it is literally the same skeleton of The Hangover Part 1. That being said, I still enjoyed the movie. It got a couple of really big laughs out of me, chuckles throughout, but, it wasn't as funny. And that's mainly because you knew how everything was going to happen. When I'm saying that you know what's going to happen next, you literally do know what's going to happen next. If you watch the first one, even like once, you pretty much know that they're going to do the exact same thing. And that's a little disappointing because, why get everyone back together and just do the same movie? It's funny, but I really don't have the desire to watch this as many times as I watched the first one. I didn't even watch the first one that many times, but this one is just kind of like, it exists, It's sure, it maybe laughs in parts, and there's definitely more, dramatic scenes where the actors are actually kind of like acting like real people, but it's not been like special. Honestly, I don't think they should have made this movie. I don't think it should have been made. I think it's unnecessary. The story's already been told. There's no reason to tell another story, especially when it's pretty much the exact same story. The actors do a good job. I'm not faulting anyone, really. I mean, I can't even go to say that the scriptwriters messed this up, necessarily. It's just because they went in there with the whole wrong idea of making it exactly the same. It just didn't need to be done at all. Bradley Cooper is good. Ed Helms is hilarious. Zach Galifianakis is really good. Mr. Chow is back in this, played by King Jong. He's funny. But again, it just felt like you were hanging out with all your friends. You're like, oh man, remember when we did all this? And then it's like when you're with your friends and you're trying to recreate a memory. Like, you ever done that? Like, you've been out with your friends, you have a really great night, and then a few weeks later you try to have the exact same night, but pretty much doing the exact same things, and try to have that same energy, and it never quite happens because the entire time you're just thinking, oh man, remember we did that last time? And that's reminiscing. You're not really having a good time. And this movie was reminiscing. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, that happened to me in real life. What happened to me in the first Hangover, I'd be talking about that a lot. Man, remember that time we were in Vegas and all this crazy stuff happened to us? Problem is, it's a movie. And it didn't work for me in that regard. But it was funny. People said that this movie was way over the top and tested the MPA's limits. I mean, there's some very grotesque and graphic scenes in this movie, but I never felt oh man, they're really pushing the envelope. It's not that bad. It's definitely worse than the first one in terms of graphic content, but not really, crazy. And I have to say, character-wise, these guys stay very calm for the situation they're in. I was in the situation that they were in, especially in this movie, I would have been freaking out. And I feel like they freaked out more in the first movie than they do in this one. This one, oh yeah, we're in Thailand. Oh, hey, all this stuff's happened to us. You might get killed. Hey, it's cool. We'll figure it out. We still have a few hours to figure it out. They take this very well. They're very chill dudes, considering the circumstances that they're in. So all in all, when it comes down to it, I like this movie, but at the same time, I kind of feel like I could have seen this on video and been just as satisfied. I could have rented this and saved myself the money that I spent. But it's not awful. Really quick, I want to I want to give a shout out to Lawrence Sher, who's the cinematographer for this. The cinematography in this movie is actually really, really good. And so that stood out to me in the movie. I noticed that they were actually doing some really interesting shots, especially at the beginning of the movie. So credit to him. My final grade for this movie is a 77 out of 100. It's not bad. If you like the first Hangover, you'll probably like this because it literally is the same movie. But I feel like it's going to leave a lot of people feeling empty because it doesn't really take the franchise anywhere. And I hope that they don't make a Hangover 3, even though apparently they are going to make a Hangover 3. I guess if they're going to do a Hangover 3, I don't know where they would do it. I think they should put them in some like weird town, like they put them in like just some like kind of smallish type town, like put them in like Dayton, Ohio, and then have them have a hangover there, because like nothing will happen. They'll be like, oh yeah, like this should the Hangover Part 3 literally should just be all this building. You can't wait, like, oh man, when they get the hangover, they have a hangover, everyone's cool, they get into their car, they drive home, and that's the end. I'm sure they'll do something crazy, probably like Amsterdam or like Moscow or something like that. Anyway, that's what I have to think. Also, guys, check out my radio show, The Final Cut, links below, and check out my blog. We got a new writer, The Comedy Hipster. She's really cool. Of course, you have our other regular writers like Militant, Maestro, and Sean Maid, and check them out too. Alright, that's all I have time for today, so rate, comment, subscribe, and until next time, please remember, it's all in the hair.